Welcome to Bay Rats and Buoys with your host, Captain Gage.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. We are here at the 2025 New York Boat Show at the iconic Javits Center in New York City. I'm your host, Captain Gage, and I happen to be here today with Captain Mike from Nautical School. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. Very excited about this because there's so much to talk about, not only with Captain School, but Captain License. There's just so much going on in the industry, and even the boating laws and the upgrades. There's just so much going on.
Yep.
And there's a big stir on the internet about it, which is cool. But let's start off. You know, you guys, not only you have two booths here at the show, but you guys have multiple schools. So why don't you tell us about the different locations and where people can sign up for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are the largest Coast Guard approved school in the tri-state. Locations across New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, all over Long Island, all over the coast of New Jersey, all over the coast of Connecticut, and even right here in Manhattan. Big supporter for a lot of the guys who work on the water for CETO, Boat US, all the Fire Island ferries, water taxis, Sayville ferries, Captree fleet, Montauk fleet. You know, anyone working on the water essentially has some exposure to nautical school, whether they're getting their license for the first time, renewing their license, they want to join our drug program, because as you know,
you got to be enrolled in a drug consortium.
Absolutely.
I'm enrolled in a couple of them, actually, because you know, you got to have, like, I have my own fishing charter business, so I'm enrolled in a consortium just for that.
Yep.
Then I'm a CETO captain, full-time commercial tow captain. I'm enrolled in a consortium for that.
So that's a little misconception too, right? So people think, oh, I'm already in a drug consortium, I don't need to be in one. I'm in one for CETO, I don't need to be one when I charter my own boat. That's not true. So the owner of the vessel is responsible for administering the drug program.
This is why I brought that up.
So if you work for CETO, you got to be in their program. And then if you also on the side work for Fire Island Water Taxi, you got to be in theirs. Then if you do your own charters, you got to set up your own as well.
That's right.
And that goes for everyone on the boat, not just the licensed crew, but even just the deckhands who are, cutting bait or, untangling lines. They also have to be in the program. Anyone getting paid to be working on that boat has to be in the program.
Yep, and that's set up for a specific reason. If I tested positive at Sand City for any of the stuff and got suspended, CETO would never know about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you have to be in these consortiums, so it would affect your licensing.
Correct.
And that's why they do it. And speaking of licensing and the consortium and the drug stuff, because I was so happy when I did my renewal through your nautical school. But I bring that up because I went to Paul and Austin at Land, Sea, and Air, and I've been going to them for years. They've done everything, as far as all my drug testing and the consortiums and stuff, and they are just absolutely fantastic. They're great at their job, and I love when people are good at their job.
Yeah, they're the best. They're so they do all sorts of drug tests and physicals for us, which meet all the Coast Guard standards. They also do FAA, DOT, all the truck drivers are getting their CDLs. There's different CFRs for, different modes of transportation.
Right.
Coast Guard falls under a different one than trucking and aviation and whatnot, but they are experts in all of them. And essentially we partnered with them. They're only about a mile up the road from the school, which is great.
Yeah, they're awesome.
So we hook our students up with them, get them the drug tests, get them the physicals they need. And Paul and the rest of the crew there at Land, Sea, and Air give our students a little bit of a break on the services coming from the school.
Yeah, they're phenomenal. If you got to go there in Lindenhurst, they're downstairs, so you go see Paul downstairs and enroll. It's awesome, and that's what I did my drug consortium through, because it's important that people understand that you have to have those consortiums for every different aspect of captaining that you're doing, like you brought up before. So let's talk about the captain's license, because I was up for a renewal this year, and I went through nautical school, your school, and I got to say the process was it was great. It really was. Your online portal, it made it so easy for me to submit. Everything's got to be a PDF. Everything's, there's tedious. There's a lot of work involved.
Yeah.
As far as paperwork, there's a big paper trail.
Yeah. So I'll start by saying that 57% of applications that got submitted overall to the Coast Guard last year came back rejected or incomplete. So This is why you're so excited about getting a regular renewal application in so easily, because it's such a pain in the ass over the years. You miss one checkbox, you forget to fill in one area. Coast Guard will kick it back and say, sorry, you have to start over. We kind of came in, my wife and I inherited the school about 2 years ago.
Congratulations, that's awesome.
Thank you, yeah. School's been around 20 years. Captain Bill Rivera founded it about 20 years ago. We took it on about 2 years ago, and just trying to take it to the next level. And, when we sat down there and we looked at things and, the renewals, it was all kind of done on paper and pen and, things that get missed that way, the human error, right?
Right.
So what we did is we built this online portal for the renewals and the original applications, because if you go on the Coast Guard website, they'll give you a checklist of what to do, but it'll be on 6 different web pages. So, okay, I got to do this, then I got to go over here, and you get lost along the way. What we did was we simplified it, made our own portal, put it on one page, more of like a checklist option. So
and you log in with your MMC number, your
Yep.
ID number,
Yep.
which was really easy.
Yep. And then you can see essentially what you need to do all on a line. Bing, bang, boom. Once you do it, you get it uploaded to us. It gets checked off in the system, and then we review it for you.
And then it says it's complete. So this part is done. Like my drug testing was in, the physical was in, and it all says this is complete. This is complete. And if something's in progress, it said Kim was working on it. It said Captain Kim was handling this right now. So that was fantastic. It really was a great portal. I got to say, it made my life so much easier. And not only did it make it easier, you just said 57% are getting kicked back. And I even said to, that's Corey, my first mate that's here with us. I even said to him when the renewal's in, you're always nervous when you're sending stuff into the Coast Guard because it has a really high percentage of getting kicked back. You have to do it the right way. Even when you submit your application for the first license to ever get, everything's got to be in a specific order.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
The way it's all stacked on top of one another.
Absolutely. And they'll sit on it, too. So you don't know that it's incorrect for 2 or 3 months, right? So you submit it maybe in the springtime. Oh, yeah, I'm going to do charters this summer. And then first weeks of summer roll around, and they say, sorry, you got to do it all over again because you didn't do it correct the first time. So getting it in correct the first time is important. And, we can definitely help you with that. We do about 500 of them a year, which go in, 100% accurate to our guarantee.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. And it did. It did go in accurate, and it came back and on proof of it. And we'll talk about the new one in a second. But let's educate the people on the process of when they expire and the time frame that it does take, because you can do it a year out, like 364 days, you could actually start your process.
Yeah. They say 6 months. 6 months is a safe number to renew that license. Because they actually, with the new printing method, it's sped up a little bit.
Yeah,
it used to be like 3 or 4 months for them to review it and then print it. But now, as they're printing it a little bit quicker, it's about 8 to 10 weeks now to renew that license.
And the reason that it's quicker, guys, and there's a big buzz on the internet about this amongst captains, is because we all love the old passport-style book, which, I got you with a question the other day that was pretty funny, is how come on a captain's license anywhere it doesn't say captain? So you get a captain's license and nowhere on this thing it says Merchant Mariner Credential, United States of America. You open it up, and nowhere in here does it say you are a captain like your driver's license says driver's license. But the process has changed and gone from this beautiful, nice, you get this passport, you're proud of it, you worked hard for it. I got 397 on my 4 exams, by the way.
Hey.
So seriously, the
round of applause for that.
The chart plotting is not an easy course for people to pass. They got to understand there's a little studying that goes into those equations. And now they send you a single page. You get this single page, and you get to fold it if you want to. So you could keep it in a single page format, or you could fold it like I did. And I did that literally for a photograph because I got this 2 days before Christmas this year. So I did that. I made it. That's why I folded it, so I could take a picture and show you guys on the internet. But there's a big buzz about this. There's a lot of people, they're not happy with the, like I was just showing you the, where do we put the TWIC card, and where do we, does this go on the back? Because in the back here we have our, we had our TWIC, we have our TWIC card, we have our first aid kit, the medical certificate is in there. Exactly. So you want to touch, about the
so I went
12-foot printer.
I went down there, as a Coast Guard approved school. We belong to an organization called MESI, Maritime Education Standards Council.
Okay.
Collection of a bunch of schools across the country who just try to get open communication with the Coast Guard, seeing what new rules and regulations are coming down the pipeline, so we as a schools can educate our students and continue to perform, at a high level. So just a little collaboration with the Coast Guard. So we went down there in the middle of summer, right in the middle of fishing and boating season, of course, for about 3 or 4 days to go meet with them. Sat around the table, answered some Q&As, try and chop it up with them to get, the robotic life of the Coast Guard, humanize it a little bit, which is good when you get to them face to face, right? Not just as robotic general answers on email
they're
or
all
the phone.
They're all acronyms.
Yes,
Everything's an acronym in the Coast Guard.
So you need to get a little bit out of it. They gave us a tour of the facility, which is huge because they go over applications, they go over courses, they go over renewals, they go over it's a couple hundred people in that building. Who are working at National Maritime Center. But during the tour, they said, he looks at me and goes, you want to see the old printer? I go, yeah, I do.
Yeah, I want to see how antiquated this process is.
So we walk in, and this thing,
12
I
feet
think
long.
It was about 12 feet long.
Like a dot matrix printer.
Yeah.
Something out of the 80s.
$100,000 printer, at least, at a minimum, right?
It looked like the first computer.
The
Whopper,
Yeah, it looked like an assembly line. And then you had the guys there, this guy's putting this page on it and sending it down the line and whatnot. By the time it got done, it was costly.
For the
just to print these
just
things.
to run that for the day,
and when it broke down the parts and the replacement, right?
Oh my God!
So this is why they went to this new single piece.
So they're definitely saving a lot of money. I can tell you that.
Saving a lot of money. Doesn't reduce the fees that you got to pay them to issue.
No,
it,
that didn't change.
But they say it is a Tyvek, which is supposed to be waterproof.
Yeah. I don't know how wet I want to get it though.
Yeah, I've had a few guys test that so far, and we've had some mixed results. But
okay, so you hear that, guys? Don't get it wet. Keep it on the boat. Keep it hidden away somewhere. Mine's in a bag, dry.
And it's not supposed to tear, allegedly. So
yeah, we're not going to give it that option either. So,
but to round it out, we went to the new, showed us the new printer. And it's a glorified Xerox machine, essentially. It's pretty much one of those all-in-one scanner copy printers. Put the piece of paper in, boom, print it out, and it's done in 30 seconds. So
you would think the process to get it would be a little simpler. You'd get it in the mail faster. Now, I'm going to be honest. I did mine 2 months before it expired. That is not a good look. That's why I bring up to you that 364 days when you're in that, getting into that last year before it's up. That's when I believe is the date you could start it, and we're recommending 6 months out is the smartest. And I just was going to recommend 4 months at least.
Yeah, at the minimum. Yeah, because right now if you do everything perfect, it's about 8 to 10 weeks. But those go up and down as the Coast Guard gets backed up here and there.
Yeah, and I did it. Captain Kim at your nautical school did it perfect, and I got it. I was just in time. It was amazing, but thank God for that. Yeah, she was awesome the whole way through. Made it, and I said to her, listen, you got to understand, it's nerve-wracking dealing with, and I wasn't just going for renewal. I went for an upgrade.
Yeah.
So I was going from 25 gross ton to 50 gross ton, and as a captain, that's all those sea service forms. It takes time. You got to fill these things out right.
Yep.
You got to have the right signatures because, some of the time was on the commercial towboat. The other time was on my boat, so you have a boat that's registered in somebody else's name. People don't realize there's a process to that.
Yeah, even just a straight renewal, you're going to have 30, 40 pieces of paper.
Yeah, easily.
That's physical 10-page, application pages 5-page, sea service forms are a couple pages, then you're going to have a copy of your credentials, so it adds up 30, 40 pages just right off the bat. Original licenses are even more because of all the other requirements with CPR and course diplomas and whatnot. So your first license, you can be putting 40, 50 pages in the hand of a guy in the Coast Guard who's just scrutinizing this thing and just looking for something to...
That's wrong to say no. 57% of them is getting rejected.
Yeah.
And not only the stack of the papers involved, it's... I'm a pretty handy guy, so I have apps on my phone. You got to take a picture of this thing and then turn it into a PDF, be able to email it to yourself and organize it all in a structure to get it to them. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So it's not the easiest process. So guys, having a school like Captain Mike has that helps you along the way especially with that portal. That portal was fantastic. So I'm going to say you really revolutionized the process of seeing how it's all coming to what's completed, and I got to give kudos to you. That was awesome. Made my life a lot easier. I felt a lot better about it. I was getting recommended to you not only by Captain Mike, but Captain John's been doing this 35 years. He's a captain for Cito. So, these guys recommended me go to you, and that made me feel a lot better going into it. So now, if people want to sign up for your school, they do it online. Is the course online? Do they have to go to classrooms? Give them a...
Yep. So we're still, we do have online classes for 6-pack, Master 100-ton, Master 200-ton, sailing and towing endorsements. We also do most of those courses in person.
Okay. And you have how many schools? Where are they at?
So Manhattan, Freeport, Lindenhurst, Riverhead. Moving into Connecticut. Well, we also have New Rochelle. Norwalk, Connecticut, Essex, Connecticut, Stonington, Connecticut, and then we're doing Red Bank, New Jersey, Toms River, and Ocean City.
Okay, so you heard that, guys. Those are the locations you could go to, and then doing it online.
Covering the coast, yep. And then, we do private courses here and there for yacht clubs and marinas. If you get at least 6 or 7 guys, we'll come in and do a private course.
So you go to them. You'll actually go to their location and do the course there. So you hear that. That's great.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's fantastic. So you have a mobile setup to be able to go and teach the course and set it up. That's great.
Although we do have all these classes online, I tend to kind of push guys towards the in-person, just because you get that real-time and feedback from the instructor.
So important.
And then once you get into the hands-on chart plotting, right? It's a little bit difficult to learn that online, and I do have some guys come to me, I got this really good deal online. I started doing it, and I can't get through it. And I said, well, I'm sorry that happened to you with another, school or whatnot. Come take my in-person course, and I don't think this is going to be an issue, right?
Right.
And there's still guys who just they don't have the schedule to get there for 56 hours during the week, right?
It's a lot.
But the good thing about our school is that we do have the online, but with that, we always guarantee you can come and sit on any topic in person as well.
Right.
So if you're struggling online with, let's say, charting, I'm going to tell you, hey, Gage, come in this day, and we'll go over that.
And we'll work on that privately.
Yeah.
So like tutoring.
Yes,
because
exactly.
And you do need it.
You hop in the general class of, each day of class we're doing a certain topic, right? So, hey, I'm struggling with rules. All right, come Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm struggling with this. Come this day.
Right, the deck.
So we do a little bit of hybrid as well with the online and the in-person learning. And we can do that because we just have so many locations and so many instructors and the flexibility to do that with folks.
Now, the book, I just gave Corey, my first mate, the same book that I used. Did the edition change, or is it?
Our book? Or
the white rules of the road,
the rules of the road, it changed a little bit. Any vessel over 12 meters, I believe it is, has to keep one on board, actually.
Okay.
Not a lot of people know that, but
so I recommend when I train people and I teach new boaters, I recommend them that they download the Coast Guard app because smack dab in the middle, the icon right in the middle of their app is the rules of the road that you could be able to open up in 3 seconds and show it to them that I have the rules of the road on board, and they're okay with that.
Yeah, they are okay with the electronic. Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
They're okay with that. So I like to bring that up to people. In fact, in one of my episodes, I recommended 3 apps. I recommended that they have Navionics on their phone. I recommended that they have some sort of a radar app, and I recommended that they download the Coast Guard app because now they would know their lat and longitude by hitting the emergency services and see that. So speaking of rules and regulations, things are changing.
Yeah, especially in New York State. So as of this year, everyone in New York State who operates recreationally is required to have a state boating license or equivalent. This law, what's this new law? This law actually went into effect 4 or 5 years ago.
Right.
Formerly, currently known as Brianna's Law.
It had the girl's name, right?
Yes. Essentially, it was a tragic accident, on the water where this girl, Brianna, was killed by, I think it was a drunk driver at the time, but when they studied it and the Coast Guard looked into it, they figured that had these boaters have at least the minimum boating safety knowledge, this crash could have been avoided and life could have been saved. So this is how this got put into law and action in Albany and New York State. It got into place in 2020, and we started in 2022 with the phase-in period.
Okay.
So in 2022, I believe it was anyone born after 2003 had to get it. Then in 2023 was 1988. Then it was 1973, and no one really paid attention to it because they were figuring like, oh yeah, I got time. I'm an old guy or whatever,
Right.
And now it's January 1st, 2025, and anyone operating recreationally on the water has to have a New York State safe boating license. So what that is, essentially an 8-hour course. There's a ton of providers out there. If you go to the New York State website, you can find them. We do them at the Nautical School, Manhattan, Freeport, Lindenhurst, and Riverhead. You can also do it online. I think Towboat US offers it for free online as well.
Okay.
A lot of the other providers like myself do charge a fee just because we're putting in the time and paying the instructors and whatnot. But this is something that everyone still not a lot of people are aware that they need it this year, and there will be some harsh awakenings this summer.
100%, and that's why we're breaking it to you here, because people do need to hear. I tell you, there's a buzz about this. There's a buzz about they don't know the new laws and the new rules, and that's why it's so important to get out there on social media to address these issues. Because if you talk to people in the forums, it can get out of control because there's a million keyboard warriors and people pretend that they know everything. And I tell people all the time, I'm not a know-it-all. I'm a sponge. I like to absorb and learn. But
it's pretty bad what the misconceptions are out there on that are placed online, and I don't need one. I have a captain's license, but I still need one. So just some of the most common ones is I don't need it because I've been boating forever, right? Well, that number one misconception, everyone needs it, right?
That's right.
I have a captain's license, but I was told I still have to take it, which is not true. If you have an active captain's license, that you do not need to take the New York State requirement, but just make sure it's active and you have a copy of it on board with you.
That's right.
Some of the other misconceptions are, for example...
Well, speaking of a misconception, everybody thinks they don't need the TWIC card. So, that's another thing I recommend. Like Corey's going to get his captain's license. I said, hey, the first thing you need to do is go get your TWIC card.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that, you really can't get your first. You can't even apply.
Yeah. No,
because that's the official background check. That you're not a felon, because that's really what they're looking for. Because that gives you. That's like TSA has that to get into any of the ports and to get
for the Coast Guard license. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the first thing I recommend to people. That's another misconception out there. Speaking of misconceptions, is the TWIC card. Yes, you got to have it, because Captain John said to me he doesn't need to do it, and I was like, well, I think that's false information. And I don't want to.
Yeah. People are struggling right now too, because they took this boating course when they were 16 years old, right, at the firehouse and whatnot, and I took it already, but I need to find a copy of it, the receipt or whatnot. So. You got to check with whoever you took it with. Maybe they still have a copy of it. If you took it with the Power Squadron, they'll recognize that. If you took it with the Coast Guard Auxiliary, they'll recognize that. If you took it in New Jersey, and they're a NASBLA, which is National Association of State Boating Council, provider, they'll recognize that. So I got an FAQ on my Facebook with a lot of these misconceptions.
Oh, yeah, good. So
if anyone wants to look, I posted it in some of the Facebook groups, because it was just getting out of control with misconceptions on stuff that was out there.
Easily.
And New York State's not the quickest to respond either. Even though they're a few bills over, so I don't want to say it so loud.
Right, yeah.
But anyone has any questions on it, we're happy to answer at the school. We're there 6-7 days a week anyways for classes, Monday to Friday, 9 to 6 for appointments and testing and whatnot. So if you think you need it, you may have it, you may not want it.
If you got questions, you got to ask, and it's best to call and ask. And I'll put the links that he's talking about in the description to this video. You'll have links to all the access to get to the nautical school online, so you can sign up. Are there any other rules and regulations that went into effect this year that I know that they were talking about people that were purchasing boats 55 feet or bigger, that there was going to be you either had to hire a captain to drive it, or you needed 30 hours of training before you were able to drive it? Did any of that go into effect?
There's none of that to my knowledge, but there's also these pseudo regulations, which is when the insurance companies get together and decide that for example, I had a customer, he's moving up from a 45 to a 70.
Okay, that's a big jump.
And the insurance company said, well, never had an incident boating all his life, right? Insurance company said, well, if we're gonna insure you, you got to hire a licensed captain to drive this boat. And he goes, well, what if I become a licensed captain? And they're like, yeah, okay, that'll work, right?
See, so
some of the insurance companies, as they mitigate risk, and we have all these issues going on across the country with wildfires and floods and hurricanes and whatnot. That trickles down and affects everything, right?
The insurance companies, for sure, with
insurance
the
rates, boat trade, car rates, home rates,
everything.
So I've had a lot of that lately, where I had a buddy of mine who owns a marina, and he's trying to get, brand new marina he just bought. He's trying to get coverage on the marina. Obviously, he's going to be moving boats around for customers, shuffling them around, maybe going pick them up.
Now he's got a higher liability.
And, you don't need a captain's license if you're just moving a customer's boat with no passengers on it, right? But the insurance company said, well, who's going to be moving these boats? What kind of qualifications do they have, right? So now he's going to send me his guys. I'm going to certify them, get them a certified captain's license, and insurance will write him a quote for his marina so that they can continue operations and move boats around, even though they don't have paying passengers on it, which is the whole purpose of the captain's license, right? But at least the insurance companies can check a box and mitigate risk on their end, and it doesn't hurt business for me either. So
so people wouldn't think that you're stepping up from a 40-foot boat and going to a 70-foot boat, that the insurance company is going to have a requirement for you to drive that boat. People don't think of that. And I worked at the marinas, so they do drive. They have young kids, college kids, pulling these boats around and towing them out of a slip to bring it to the sling to get hauled out. And they don't realize who's in charge of that boat for that. Now, speaking of, what about the launch guys? And, they got to get what licensing do they need to drive from the yacht club to take people out to the mooring? Because there's a misconception there, too.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's called it was always call it like a launch tender license, a.k.a. the limited master license.
Right.
So you got your 6-pack and you got your master license, right, which is
Yep.
the two most commonly known.
And the 6-pack is an OUPV, the operator of an uninspected passenger vessel.
Right, your basic 20, 30-foot boat, you know,
Right.
that's registered with the state,
Right.
right? So the limited and the master license, when you bump up to there, is this, you know, the inspected vessel.
Right.
Which is inspected by the Coast Guard.
And inspected by the Coast Guard is not a vessel safety check. This
Right,
this is an inspection. It's a little
Certificate of
different.
inspection, yep. And you're allowed to carry more than 6 and a limited amount of passengers up to the carrying capacity of that vessel.
Of the vessel, right.
We've all been on the mooring boats and the launch tenders, right? And there's way more than 6 on there, right?
Absolutely.
So that would be considered, you know, an inspected vessel.
That's right.
So this limited master license, it's a much more watered down OUPV course essentially.
Okay.
It allows you to carry unlimited passengers on your vessel within a half mile from shore.
Okay.
So that's how they get away with not having to go for the full master license, right?
Right.
It's more of a dumbed down course. It's only about a 16-hour course. We're in the process of getting that approved. I should have it approved with the Coast Guard within the next couple of weeks. Like anything, even I have to wait a couple of weeks or months for them to approve stuff for me. But
I don't feel as bad now.
Yeah.
You know.
But that's that's for guys who these summer camps, on Oyster Bay, right, North Shore, Long Island, all these yacht clubs, even the South Shore, right. And they need guys who need to work on this limited master license.
Right, like the Sayville Ferry guys. Now that's not limited. That's a whole different.
That's up to a 50 or 100-ton master license.
Right.
Now, of course, that would supersede the limited master license. So, like yourself, you have a 50-ton master.
I could go drive a
and
launch
operate
boat.
a launch. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That would be a big downgrade to what I'm doing. But you know what? if all else fails, you might be seeing me going from Gold Star Beach to a mooring when I'm 70.
A little pirate hat
when
on.
I'm 75 years old.
Patch,
Yeah, absolutely.
We're working for tips. So.
That's unbelievable. Now the testing process, people think they go in and they take one exam and it's done. Like I said to you before, you applauded me. I said I got 300s and a 97. There are multiple exams for the captain's license. You not just go, there's chart plotting, there's deck, there's rules of the road. So there's different questions and different tests that you take.
Yeah, absolutely.
For different certifications. Like I had to do the towing endorsement.
Right.
You want to do a sailing endorsement.
Right,
All these things are separate.
Yeah.
And there's usually another fee for different things.
Correct. So the 6-pack, that's your meat and potatoes right there. That's your...
Everybody's coming for that one.
Yeah, that's your 60-hour course. That's your gateway to getting into the business and getting into working on the water. Or some guys just take it because they want to learn a little bit more. The 8-hour safe boating course, we have 12-year-olds in there that pass that course. It's very basic, the New York State course, right?
Right.
This 60-hour course that we offer for the 6-pack is much more advanced. We're going over 4 main topics on that.
Okay.
And which are going to be your 4 main exams. Rules of the road.
Right.
So lights, day shapes, if you're running at night. You see certain, flashes of the buoy or lights.
Right. What do they mean?
What do they mean?
When you see the day markers hanging on the ships, what is he doing?
What am I looking at?
Is he a nuke? Is he a ram?
Absolutely. Yep. And you already know the acronyms. I'm sure some of them.
Oh,
are
absolutely.
In your head,
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So, just one you may even see in the Great South Bay here, right? Everyone knows what a red and green light is coming at you, right?
Yes.
That's a vessel coming at you,
Right.
So what if you saw a red over green on top of that? Would that be another vessel coming at you sideways in the air?
Right.
No.
Right.
Red over green sailing machine, right? So there's another acronym.
I have the whole list of them. They're awesome.
So if you see that red and green coming at you, but then you see 50 feet above a red over green light on the mast, that's going to be a sailboat, right? And that's there's so many ones.
Red, white, red. Workers ahead.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Exactly.
It never ends. And this is what I gave Corey my book, and I said, listen, before you go to captain school, you got to study.
Yeah.
You should study before you go. And you guys are going to put them in the right direction to study the right way. But I think going in knowing, because technically, at the end of the day, there's only 300 questions that they choose from or they pull from for the exams?
There's thousands.
So there are thousands.
Yeah.
Okay, because the book that you get, it's this fat, and it's got all the exams in it. It's got the...
Yep, absolutely, yeah.
The questions and answers are there.
All these practice questions in there. We actually we have a nautical school app on the Google and Apple Play Store.
Okay.
Where we have over 1,200 questions.
So he's taking them now. He sent it to me yesterday.
Yeah.
He's already taking questions. He goes, this is much better. I told him to make cue cards and write them down and flip it over. Because that's how I did it, and I scored pretty good. So you take my advice, I'm telling you.
So you can do practice questions on the app. You can do flashcards. The best thing is it doesn't just tell you, okay, you're wrong, got it wrong. At the end, if you got it wrong, it'll give you an explanation of why it's wrong.
Of why you got it wrong. Oh, that's even better. So it tells you why you're wrong.
Yep. So that's that first test, the rules of the road there. 50 questions, and you can only get 5 wrong.
Okay.
So there's a small margin for error, right? So I tell people, take these practice tests on the app. Once you start getting 90s on the app, you're ready to come in and take the exam, right?
There you go.
Right. The next 2 are, deck and nav general, which is a lot of seamanship, safety, navigation, stuff that, we have experience with as boaters, right?
Things that are flammable on the boat that are on the deck.
And do a little knot tying, right?
Yeah.
Get into that. There's a lot more margin for error in those exams. Those
absolutely.
are also 50 questions, but they only need you to get a 70.
Okay.
But most guys are they're pretty switched on. They'll get through it with much higher grades than that. Like yourself, who
they said I was the gook of the class is how they described me. Now, you mentioned before the age limit. Mm-hmm. Okay, is there what is the age limit to get a OUPV or the famous 6-pack that people like to call it?
So you 18 to be issued the 6-pack.
Okay, so you have to be 18 years old.
But
you can get a boating safety course and pass that at 14.
Yeah, I think it's age 12 now.
12, it is 12. Yeah. So when you don't have to wear the age you don't have to wear a life jacket anymore, you can now.
Yep.
My son turned 12 this year. He was so excited. He's looking at the Coast Guard. He's like, Dad, I don't have my life jacket on. He's like, they're going to see me over here. I let them come over. I don't mind. They all know. We all know each other out here. We see each other every day.
So 18 to get your 6-pack. Workaround is you take the course when you're 17, and then you get all your paperwork together.
Because it takes time to submit it, guys. Do everything ahead in the nautical world.
Submit it to the Coast Guard on your 18th birthday, and then get that license issued. Master license 19.
19.
Yep.
Okay, so to be a master, yes, because it makes sense because you're going to need time on the water.
A little bit more experience on the water.
You need that sea service form to say you were out past,
Yep.
certain buoys and certain things in the waterway. So give everybody a way to get in touch with you guys because your schools are awesome. I love it. I use it, guys. So not only am I the host of Bay Rats and Buoys, not only am I a commercial tow captain, a charter captain, but I am also a customer of the Nautical School and Land, Sea, and Air, and I recommend both of them to you guys wholeheartedly because these guys are absolutely awesome at what they do, and I feel very confident telling you to go there because I had nothing but a good experience, and I like to share that with you guys.
Yeah, that's great. No, I appreciate that. Hit us up at nauticalschool.com. Phone number 631-226-7300. If anyone knows Lindenhurst, we are 4 blocks west of Wellwood Avenue.
Okay.
Where all the restaurants and bars are. I'm there Monday to Friday from 9 to 6. Come stop by, say hello. Maybe sit down. We'll grab a drink,
So people can actually come in and talk to you, just like you're here at the show, working the show. You and your wife are here. You got
absolutely.
2 booths. I mean, you guys are awesome.
We're grinding. We're getting people signed up for the course. People are excited. So.
Yep.
But yeah, any questions? I know it's a daunting process, right? And we only touched on a hair of it here.
Oh my God!
It can seem daunting, but that's why we're here. We're here to make it simplified.
And your portal really does simplify it. As far as for anybody out there that needs to do a renewal, I recommend you go through the Nautical School because getting that paperwork in the proper 57% get rejected. I mean, that's a seriously high number.
Yeah, yep. And everyone knows that guy. If you're not that guy with the story of having your license, come late. You know a guy who came 6 months late and he missed the season, right?
All right, so I think where are they in West Virginia?
Yes, they are.
So yeah, thank you to the Coast Guard of West Virginia. I greatly appreciate my new single-page pamphlet. I'm very grateful. You guys are awesome, and I got another 5 years of captaining in my local area. Yeah. And so you guys check out Mike over at Nautical School. He's got a great operation. He'll be happy to help you guys. I will put links to all of his social media and his school, his website, everything, phone number in the description of this video. I can't thank you enough for coming on board, Mike. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
No doubt. All right, guys, Captain Gage and Captain Mike signing out. We'll see you next time.